your part. Wash your hands thoroughly and often. Sponsored by the Illinois Department of Public Health and the Illinois Emergency Management Agency in cooperation with the Illinois Broadcasters Association and WLS AM 890.
The Deputy Secretary of the Department of Energy, who also unmasked General Flynn, Elizabeth Sherwood Randall. She went to Harvard, you know. Her roommate was Penny Pritzker, and she never worked in government before Obama. Suddenly she's in Obama administration reading classified intercepts from the NSA and unmasking American citizens. And Andrea Mitchell thinks I'm gaslighting her.
Well, Van's a hot rod right there. Oh, fuck.
Ah, yes. Now I see clearly. It must be me.
Walmart
this is all perfectly normal. Yes, unmasking occurs. Not the leaks of unmasked names, strategic political leaks of the enemies of the president, you know, as happened under Barack Obama. The news media loves ignoring this story, and they're going to do everything they can to kill this story. Each and every one of them working in concert with one another and members of the Obama administration to quash the story, to crush the story, kill it. If they could buy it, kill it. But now they're gaslighting us. Well, this is perfectly normal. Anybody that says this is out of the ordinary, they're gaslighting you. But they're always doing what they're accusing you of doing at the same time. Extraordinary. Let's go to the telephones. Let's go to Dean, calling from Chattanooga, Tennessee. Dino, you're on the Chris Plank Show.
Good morning, Chris. It's great to talk to you again. Always enjoy your show.
Thank you.
What I'm calling you about is, you know, we've got Judge Sullivan, who is, I don't know about his normal court trials, but if he's got somebody that pleads not guilty, and then he's found guilty in his court, now does he tack on another form of punishment for perjury since he pled not guilty? You know, that must be a precedent in his court, because that's kind of what he's trying to do to General Flynn here.
It is absolute. That is a brilliant point. I wish I had thought of it myself. I love that. What Judge Sullivan, Emmett Sullivan, is doing is he's refusing to accept the fact that the Justice Department is dropping the case against General Flynn because upon further review, they found ample prosecutorial misconduct. And we know that they altered the document, the 302 document. We know that they threatened to assail his son with prosecution on some trumped-up charge if he didn't plead guilty to this charge. We know that they threatened General Flynn, a 33-year military officer, with more and more serious charges if he didn't plead guilty to this lesser charge. And so when he was being coerced, he had already been bankrupted by the corrupt law firm Covington and Burling with their corrupt partner, who is Obama's wingman, Eric H. Holder Jr. We know all this, and there's more. And William Barr and the U.S. attorney out of Missouri found ample evidence of prosecutorial misconduct. And this is all still percolating, and it's rolling into the John Durham investigation out of the U.S. Attorney's Office in Connecticut. And honestly, I'm marveling at the news media's insistence on being the mouthpiece for the state and for the previous administration, and pretending, and they literally have to pretend, you know, that it's okay that Obama political appointee, ambassador to Italy, a donor and a bundler, nothing more, just a guy who bought the ambassadorship, which is perfectly normal, but he bought the ambassadorship to Italy, and he's unmasking General Flynn, and Andrea Mitchell doesn't think there's anything curious about that. Jim Sciutto is going to cover it up. He's an Obama administration official and an anchor at CNN. And of course, you know, I mean, George Stephanopoulos is a Clinton administration official and an anchor. It's rigged. The system is rigged. They bought the umpires all over the place. But what Judge Sullivan is doing here is he's saying, okay, so the FBI came in and they coerced you and they beat you and they flogged you and they bankrupted you, and Eric Holder's law firm bankrupted you and they stole every dime you had. You had to sell your house, and then they told you to plead guilty and go to prison because the FBI set you up and entrapped you, and it's a perfectly legitimate phone call with Ambassador Kislyak, and nothing inappropriate was said. It's all perfectly... Now, the Democrats object to it because they're undoing Obama's policies, but as Obama liked to say, elections have consequences. So now Judge Sullivan is coming back and saying, well, wait a minute, you pled guilty in my court. And when you pled guilty in my court, and now you reverse yourself and say you're not guilty. So Judge Sullivan is trying to say, I'm going to charge you. He's raising the question, can't we charge you with perjury? Because first you pled guilty under duress and with bad, incompetent, corrupt, criminal legal counsel. You pled guilty, and now you're saying you're not guilty. So one of the two times, this is literally what Judge Sullivan is saying, one of the two times you were lying to me, and that's perjury, and I'm going to put you in jail for that. This is really third world stuff, Dino. Are you involved in the legal craft in some fashion?
No, I am not. I do have an honest living, so I'm not involved in that. But, you know, the judge is showing that he is a political activist. That's all it strictly is.
Yeah, I mean, it honestly is. And your point is perfect, and I'm going to use it if you don't mind, Dean. I'll try to remember that it's yours. That you might as well, if somebody pleads not guilty and then the jury finds them guilty, tag on a charge of perjury, because they obviously lied. The jury found you guilty, so you lied when you said you weren't guilty. So now we're going to tag on 5 more years because of perjury. That is essentially tantamount to what Judge Emmett Sullivan is doing with the General Michael Flynn case. Listen, there's nobody prosecuting the case because the Justice Department dropped it. So the judge is planning on bringing in, and he's bringing in Democrats, outside counsel, who are going to argue against General Flynn. And I believe, I'm not a legal scholar, but I think that this is unprecedented. Once again, isn't everything unprecedented? The most overused word of 2020 is unprecedented, but a lot of things are unprecedented. And I'm looking at Judge Sullivan continuing to railroad General Flynn after 33 years in uniform, heavily decorated 3-star general, and a terrorist killer, served in Iraq and Afghanistan just to scratch the surface. And they're still railroading this guy. This town is really just a banana republic. It makes Macon County line look like the burning bush of truth. This is a corrupt city, It really is, buddy. I'm telling you.
Well, there must not be very much crime going on there, though, because the judge's docket can't be that full if he wants to continue this case.
Well, you're 100% right. Or drag this thing out. You're right, of course. Dean, thank you for the brilliant point. I'm going to carry it with me. I'm going to carry it forward. Thanks, Dean. Thanks for the call.
You're welcome.
And there are other stories today that are completely crazy. Like listen to this. The FBI yesterday, I don't know, this Christopher Wray guy, the new director of the FBI, who's smirky face, and he's in the witness protection program. I don't know what he thinks he's doing for a living, but he hasn't shown up as far as I can tell. Here's the headline. FBI seizes Richard Burr's cell phone in probe over stock sales. And NBC News and CNBC and the Washington Post, they're all very excited. He's a Republican from North Carolina, and he's the chair of the Senate Intelligence Committee, which he's abdicated that job to his Democrat counterpart, Senator Mark Warner, the filthy rich centimillionaire. But it's fine because, he's a Democrat. Rich people are only bad if they don't fund the Democrats. FBI seizes Senator Richard Burr. He's a Republican. And the North Carolina Republican faced calls to resign, naturally he did, after he reportedly warned donors privately of the dire impact of the pandemic in February while selling off up to $1.6 million in stocks. Now, let me say that if he violated the House rules or broke the law, that Senator Burr should be held to account. All right? Let me also